Okay, today I want to introduce a new channel that Ruth and I and RR decided to do. It's called RV Travel and Living. Now, in this channel, what we're going to do is we're going to have many options for a lot of people. As you know, I'm still in the Philippines, but I can still offer from my knowledge in my past and give ideas and maybe things that happened to me that I did and that I accomplished in RVing when I was RVer. So I have some experience, not a lot, well, a few years. So hopefully you guys will enjoy what I have to say in this video. We're going to talk about boondocking, the best places to boondock. We're also going to talk about the cheaper places to stay, what lands to stay, what sites are good to have, and whatever state that you're in. Maybe you want to travel to Florida, go to Disney. We're going to give you some ideas on that. Maybe you want to travel to California. Maybe you want to go to Arizona. So we're going to actually give you ideas on many different levels. We're also going to talk about the best gadgets to have. We're also going to talk about the best solar to have. We're going to talk about things that would benefit you in the long run. Maybe the best gas prices, since the gas is rising now at this particular time. We're going to give you options on where to get the best gas and how to budget your trip. And that's a big factor. You're going on a vacation or you're doing something. How do you budget? How do you budget your trip? How do you budget your time? How do you budget things that's going on in your life that's happening to you? And unforeseen circumstances may happen to you that you're not aware of that happen, like you fell and hurt yourself, or you broke your arm, or you were climbing up on the RV and you fell down. So you need to be prepared for things like that. The proper insurance, what insurance to have, insurance on your site, insurance on your RV. So if you're gone for 2 days and your RV's sitting there, you need to have some type of coverage in case something happens. So we're going to talk about that briefly. We're actually going to go through in detail, and Ruth and I will do this. Ruth doesn't have any experience, but she's heard me talk about it enough, so she's going to be my support staff. And RR also. RR is excited, and maybe RR can help do some videos also with this. As you know, when we travel to USA here in the near future, whatever that may be, whether it's 1 month or 1 year or 2 years from now, we're going to be able to give you some ideas that will help you during this time. Maybe the best place to purchase an RV, maybe the best way to negotiate your price on an RV. I have some experience with that. Also, the best websites and the best YouTubers out there can actually give you some good advice. There are actually some YouTubers out there that have been traveling for years that can give you great advice in travels and their things that happen, their experiences. Even if we're here in the Philippines, you know as well as I do, they're actually starting to have RVs here. And so I will talk about that, and I will show you the RVs that are available here. We presently don't have any where I am at. I can only do picture based, but it actually gives you an idea. I mean, like what type and style, the gas tank, how big the gas tank is, how big your storage for your water, how big your storage, what kind of electrical power, and what kind of problems you're going to entail here in the Philippines. They are making some RV sites. They do have dumping sites for RVs now, up not in my neck of the woods, but up in Manila and around Makati and some around Clark. There are some sites that you can actually take your RV and have dump sites and things like that. We're actually going to talk about dumping sites. We're going to talk about dispersed camping. We're going to talk about boondocking, which is the same thing. We're going to talk about state parks, some of the best state parks to stay in. As you know, state parks, you can stay in a state park for 2 weeks at a time, leave a day or two, and either come to an adjoining state park or come back. It depends on the state park that you're at. A lot of times they say you have to leave 24 hours. Some say you have to leave 3 days. Some say you have to stay away for 30 days, and then you can come back to the same state park. Well, the reason why people do that, and they do it, it's the environment. They're trying to save the environment of the people coming in and not just basically just staying and not leaving. And you understand that. We understand that. I'm going to talk about places in Florida I'm familiar with. I'm going to talk about places in Texas and Arizona that I'm familiar with, New Mexico. I'm really all border bottom states that I'm familiar with. I'm not familiar with camping in Buffalo or places like New York City. But they do have campsites. They do have availability for campers. And some of the best purchases is made from people that have their RVs up north. And don't think that they do not have them. They do. There's many RVs up there. I had family that had RVs up there, and they actually traveled, and they would travel during the summertime and go to wherever they wanted to go. Some would go to Arizona, some would travel out Dakota, some would be in Montana, and the family just really had a good time. They would just jump in it and all go for 3-4 months, and then when they get time to go back to school, kids came back, they basically gave 1 week of getting ready to go into school, and they would take it and they would go to school. But the kids really enjoyed it. It was something that they experienced life. And as you know, traveling by doing things like that and traveling around is an education in itself. It teaches you street smart. It teaches you things that you may need down the road in future life, especially with children. But we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how to actually book a site online, how to make how to call them and get the best site available. Now, a lot of these parks, what they'll do is you need to book it 24 hours in advance, or 2 days in advance, or a week in advance. As we all know, everybody's getting into RVing, and so RV sites now are really hard to get into. They used to just basically just pull in, you park it, you go pay the ticket the next morning, what your fees are, and how long you plan to stay. And they have changed a lot with that. You have to pre-book now. Another thing we're going to talk about, which is the most important thing, is how can you stay in the Keys for under $500 a month in an RV? Can it be done? Yes, it can be done. And it's not boondocking either. You can boondock if you want, but you can stay in the Keys under $500, and I'm going to talk about that. So we're going to actually have a broad situation, because what happens is, as you know, you don't want to end up having an RV and you don't want to pay $100 a night or $200 a night in your RV as you're going camping. I mean, you have your house on wheels. Your hotel is there in the RV, so why do you want to pay those fees? And you don't want to pay those fees. You're looking at fees as anywhere from $10 a night, $20, and $30 a night, not the $60, $70, $80, $100 staying in a hotel. Because you have gas and fuel and everything else incurred in that, but you want to stay at places like that to help cover the cost for the RV and help enjoy life and build your bonding with your family. Places like hotels and things like that, if you find a hotel that's $30 a night, you're doing pretty good. I mean, you stay at La Quinta and some of the places, Motel 6s and places like that. But you're not going to get as good quality as you can have in your own RV. I mean, you can cook your own food, you can pull off the road, you can actually boondock, and what a boondocking means is you can actually crank up the stove and crank up things and turn on the generator and have lights and have air conditioning if it's hot and have heat if you need to. We're going to actually talk about that a lot, because there's so many avenues in that. We're going to also talk about how to maintain your vehicle properly and to make sure that you're not going to have any breakdowns down the road. The most important thing in anything is the brakes, the tires, the motor, the water, and make sure all those levels are always filled up and taken care of and maintained. If you buy a used RV, you need to have somebody specialized in RVs to check it out. There are many mobile RV guys out there that will come to you and actually travel to you and give you pointers on what is the best way to do RVs and maintain those RVs and how to drive an RV. We're going to also talk about solar and how solar affects and can help you costs whenever you park and need to charge. A lot of the parks have it where you can only use your electric from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days, 3 days a week, and you can only do this, that, this, that. Well, we're going to talk about solar and how beneficial solar is. As you know, depending on what part of the country that you're from, solar can actually help you 100%. As you know, here in the Philippines where I'm at, I'm solar. Now, this air conditioner is not on solar, but everything else is on solar. So we have a solar setup here that this could be easily added on, and that's what we'll do eventually in time. We just haven't done it yet. It's not a cost factor for me because I have everything here. It's just a factor of getting things attached and things like that from my buddy in town, and he's awful busy. So because everybody's wanting solar here because electricity's gone. As you know, in the parks can charge you $100 to $200 a month for electricity depending where it is. But what if you have solar on your RV to help the cost during the day? Unplug your RV. Let your panels supply the power to your RV during the daytime. Nighttime, plug it back in. Save your electricity bill. There are many ways that can help save you money whenever you're traveling or boondocking or at your campsite doing that. Excuse me. A lot of times people don't really realize also is that when you boondock and you have a situation where, say, you filled up your vehicle and you have plenty of gas so you can boondock for however long, it gives you the good advantage of boondocking is the cheapest way to live. Many people live on $500, $600, $700 a month without living on a campsite that you're paying $350, $450, $550, $650, $750 a month in fees, and then your electric on top of that and all the other fees. So we're going to talk about that. There is a gentleman, a friend of mine out there right now that's living on $500 a month boondocking. And all he does is he makes sure his car's filled up all the time, and he boondocks at certain places. And we're going to go in detail on where those places are. I mean, there are many places you can boondock. There are many places that you used to boondock, and they've actually cut that, and you can't boondock there anymore because people have ruined that. We're going to talk about going to casinos, boondocking at casinos. We're going to talk about parking your RV there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a casino. And we're going to talk in detail about that. So this channel is just going to be broad about everything until I can really get my boots on the ground there in USA and show you what is the best way to travel and travel cheaply, travel inexpensively. My costs when I lived in an RV and including my lot rent, we're going to go in detail with that. And that's going to be the next video coming up. So we're going to talk about that in the next video. But this is really my introduction video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry it's a little bit scattered, this, that, and other. There was dogs barking in the background. There's a guy out there who's got his pigs over here. But remember, I'm in the Philippines presently. I will be back in U.S. in a period of time, hopefully this year, maybe next year sometime. And so you'll be able to see us there. I want to thank everybody for always watching your videos. I want to thank everybody for always doing everything they do on our channels. As you know, this channel is a spinoff of Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. We have Ruth and Tom Philippine Adventures. Omer has his own channel. It's called Omer's Channel. So it's Omer Chihuahua Channel. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Thank you all. Thank you always for watching, and thank you so much. God bless.